I'm Hannah Joy with the Nocturnal. How are you, Dr. Contessa?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. I'm super excited about this interview, and I hope you're ready. You ready to go?
I am ready. I'm ready to go.
Great. So, in my house, we always have the Bravo network on television. We always do. It's my mom's favorite show, and I can say that Married to Medicine, we're big fans,
Yay.
big fans.
Awesome.
And it's not only we know it's a reality television show, but we also see the value in seeing African American women being successful,
Oh,
being
yeah.
successful, and also showing that it's a positive experience. It can be a positive experience because you
Absolutely.
have to climb the ladder of success. And I want to ask you, Dr. Contessa, while being on Married to Medicine, how have you grown as a doctor and a woman while being on this show?
Sure. I think for anyone, taking criticism is super challenging, right? But some things that I've learned truly just from, interaction with people who watch the show and who are been lifelong fans and who watch other shows. I think I've learned a lot to, be a little bit less critical of myself, but also to be okay with my shortcomings, like the things that I'm not good at, the things that I don't know, the things that aren't great about me. I've kind of developed a thicker skin. So criticism really doesn't quite affect me the way it used to, right? I'm a middle child. And so growing up, I already kind of had to like learn how to entertain myself and pat myself on the back. But because of that, I tried to be really safe and be a good girl like my whole life. But I find that any little thing that you do, someone's going to see it and they're going to make sure they let you know. So that's one thing I've learned to do. And then also, as far as in regards to being a doctor, one thing I kind of went through a period of time where I was struggling with mommy guilt, and I didn't think there was a way to really be honest about how I felt about practicing medicine and taking care of patients, because I thought that meant that I was choosing my job over my family. But I always say that, we have a list, a plethora of things that we want to accomplish in our lifetime. And one of them could be for someone being a mom and a parent, but the other stuff matters too, right? It's who makes me who I am. And it also is the example that I'm able to give to my children. So I learned that it's okay to be honest about, I really enjoy going to work and I like taking care of patients and I like spending time at work and I love practicing medicine. So it took me a minute and it really took this experience for that to happen, and to also realize that this is a gift. Being a doctor is really a gift. It's an opportunity that a lot of people unfortunately would love to be able to do, but just, aren't, because of, it's not even always about education and IQ. It's really about, it's just an arduous life. It's challenging. I go to work early in the morning. Sometimes I go to work, it's dark, and sometimes I come home, it's dark. So it's just a lot of commitment that some people just can't. They just physically and just because of other commitments can't do. So I just take all that into perspective, and I'm happy for all the blessings that I've been given.
Thank you for that response. So, what
Yeah.
can viewers expect on the next season on the show?
It seems like every year people, like what happened last year, like who you were last year, evolution is constant, right? So some of the people that you'll see on the show, you're like, oh, now life is going to be perfect, right? They got this thing, this was important to them, and they accomplished that goal, but those things didn't bring them the happiness that they were looking for. Some of the family and relational stuff that has come out, especially due to some of it could be because of COVID, meaning that we're kind of together a lot more and we're having to really not be able to ignore some of the issues that we personally have in our homes. So you see a lot of that. And I think it's going to just really be reflective of what's going on with people in the world. We dealt with everything that you saw in the news, we all dealt with in our homes. So I think it's going to be great in that sense. And the first episode, I'll just tell you, spoiler alert, it was fantastic. Everybody said they couldn't tear their eyes away from it. And we were in it, so we knew it was going to happen. So, yeah, I'm super excited about this season. I think they did a great job.
So it's great that you mentioned everything that's going on in this world, because it leads to my next question. As you know, we're in this pandemic. We're all trying to stick it out and stay positive. And I just learned that your motto is prevention is the key to healthy living.
Yes, for
and,
sure.
and you've recently partnered with Kleenex Tissue.
Yes.
So, as we're trying to build up our immune system and try to stay healthy, what are the essential items you need in your home to stay healthy? We already know you need Kleenex, but what else do you need?
Absolutely, and it's interesting that you say that because one of the wonderful things about Kleenex brand tissue is it is, of course, it's to me a gift from God, because in my home of little kids, right, we always are constantly like touching our faces and running our faces across our noses. I have a first grader, so just imagine, right? And we are able to essentially kind of block that, because that's what the pandemic has taught people, that we have to be really conscientious of putting a barrier between our skin and our face, right? So the stuff in our hand, like we just want to touch with our hands, our face. You really need something that, if there's something that your hands, they're not always clean, you can wash them, and then you touch something else that you just contaminated them again. So I love that. And the thing about the Kleenex brand tissues is they contain vitamin E, aloe, and coconut oil. And when you talk about some of the natural remedies that people are looking towards nowadays, right? We're looking for something natural, something to make us feel better. And it contains that. It doesn't have the artificial stuff that a lot of other brands have. But then you look at your own life, you think about the foods that you ingest, right? How much artificial stuff are we putting into our bodies? How many things are we going to the farmer's market or to the grocery store and looking for fresh fruits and vegetables? Are we looking for things in a can or something that's on a shelf? We got to be careful about not understanding that we eat not for enjoyment and for socialization, but for nutrition. We eat for health. It's to sustain us. It is almost like when you go to a gas station, right? You choose a grade that you're supposed to choose for your vehicle. Your body is your vehicle, and you have to give it proper fuel. And there's no compromise to that. And so I always say, one of the things that if you're drinking juice, cut it out, right? Drink water. You need water. Right? If you're not getting 150 minutes in of exercise a week, you got to start moving your body in any way you possibly can. Even if you're restricted to a chair, use your arms, pump your legs, but just get that movement in. And it also increases your endorphins and makes you feel better, and increases your mood, because a lot of us are dealing with mood issues right now as well, depression, anxiety, things like that.
Thank you. So I want to know, as a doctor, how do you think COVID-19 could have been handled better from the jump? And
Yeah.
what do you think is lacking in the medical field?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, the challenge was, and I'm saying that even for myself,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
I was out there with everyone else saying, leave the masks for the doctors, masks for doctors. But if you think about air pollution, and you look at some of the other countries who suffer from pollution, right?
Right.
Or flu, when we're talking about the flu in other countries, we were wearing masks. So it was like it made sense for us to probably be wearing masks at the beginning, knowing it's a respiratory virus. So we could have been more intuitive as clinicians and as people who are in public health, and said, I don't know if the data has shown it, but it's just common sense. Let's do some of the things that make sense. And another thing is social distancing and big parties and going out and just kind of living in the world and not taking this thing seriously. Again, I myself was guilty, right? I think for sometimes a scientist, clinicians, physicians, nurses, all of us in medicine, we depend on data. But when it's a new virus, there was really no data. So we were just all kind of out there winging it. I think the other thing that we could have done was maybe be a little bit more honest about what we do know and what we don't know. And to very frequently say, I just don't know. Because I think people would then trust us a little bit more as information came out. And I think once we say it, do it this way, and then we say something completely opposite a couple of weeks later, people are just like, do they know what's going on? So that, I think, I'm okay with anyone telling me I don't know. And I don't know why sometimes as physicians, we're not comfortable doing the same.
Yeah.
Trusting that people will still know you're smart, even if you say about this thing, I just don't know.
Yeah.
So I think once the trust was lost, because we would just pivot our messaging dramatically. People were just like, I don't know, I got to find something myself because no one knows what's going on. So yeah, so I think that's what we could have done differently, is just to really frequently be able to be honest that this is new and we just don't know.
So, as we know, we're ending Black History Month, and being an African American doctor attending an HBCU, Xavier University, which produces more African American students who graduate from medical school. I am so honored to, have this interview because I'm at Xavier, right? And so,
Oh,
yeah,
it's you.
yeah, it's you. And so I wanted to ask you, what does success mean to you? And what advice would you give to college students to keep
Yeah.
pushing, especially if you don't really know your purpose right now? You're still in
Right.
between and you're trying to figure it out. How do you navigate that stress?
Well, one thing I would say that you have to be authentic about is that the voice that you hear inside of your head that's telling you, like, yes, do this, no, don't do that. That's yours. That's only for you. Other people can't hear that. And a lot of times we'll get all this external pressure of what path to take, and in your head, super clear, the voice is saying no, and we ignore that. And we got to remember that your destiny is yours. No one else is told your destiny, and so other people may not understand it, but you got to really just listen and be authentic to that voice in your head, because it's sometimes, in my opinion, God speaking right to you and telling you this is why you're here and this is what you're supposed to do. And as far as when I think about, again, this experience, like me being able to partner with a brand that has literally been in my home since I was a little girl, right? I mean, it's just this symbol has been in my home forever, and now here I am in partnership with them, right? And so I always say it's interesting that a nerd can be popular. Because you think you have to do all this stuff. You got to just, be all, it's all physical and, like, being creative, and everyone's not built that way. I'm a social person, but I'm pretty introspective. And so I think you just have to do your purpose and living your purpose, and all that stuff that you're looking for, success, money, like that peace, that inner peace, that will come because you already know all those answers, right? And you just have to listen to it and do those things. It's not going to be easy because getting to the end is not easy, right? It's a path that you have to take. You got to go on that trip, but you got to be willing to understand that it's going to pay off. I'm a living testimony of that. As a person who drove her 20-year-old car after a flood, I had less than $100 in my pockets when I went to college, and did not get help. People weren't sending, I was sending my parents money. So do understand that you don't need anything. You don't need pedigree. You don't need resume. You just need drive, focus, intention, and listening to that clear voice inside and not believing that no is even an option for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Contessa. Thank you again to Kleenex, and thank you for your time and for answering all of our questions so thoroughly. And we wish you the best with your partnership with Kleenex. Thank you.
Thank you so much.